Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter what time of day it is where you're at. We appreciate you joining us for this week's episode of the CVC Home Service Success Network. This is sponsored and presented by CVC Success Group every Friday. And we do this. Our mission is to bring you ideas, concepts, processes, things we can share with you to help you move to your dream destination in business. A lot of weeks it's just Cheryl, myself, Josh. Josh is not here today. I'm not sure where he's at, but he didn't plug in here. He may be in here in a minute. But this week is no different. Last week we had a really exceptional guest on with us last week that talked about culture, talked about all those things. Her name was Catherine Howard. We got a lot of good reviews on to that. And it was kind of funny because I'd actually just spent a couple days with the guests we have today. Right before that, found out that they were actually acquainted. And Catherine knew about Billy back years ago when he was first starting to build this thing up he's got down there. So, who's our guest today? It's a young man that I met just a couple weeks ago. I actually spent a couple days in this business. I've seen up close, personal, the kind of operation he has built, what he's building, and I got to know this young man very, very much. Again, his name is Billy Cline, and he runs a business there in Dallas, Texas, actually in Irving, Texas, which is real near the Dallas Fort Worth Airport. And this goes by Your New Door. And he did start out as Your New Door, and he did start out with a large workforce, but he's got some heck of a plans of where he's going to take this company to. In fact, while I was visiting with him, we went out and looked at some real estate for a new to move his facility into, because what his dream says is it's going to be a whole lot bigger than it is right now. So, Billy, I appreciate you taking some time out of your day today to be with us. So let's start out. Tell the folks a little bit about your business and where you came from, my friend.
Hey friends, my name is Billy Cline. I go by the Door Guy online. Actually, getting ready to change that. I'll release more details about that soon. My personal brand, but I started I started out with DFW door repair back in 2007 or eight. Took that up into the early 2020s and met a man who became a very good friend and mentor of mine, who suggested that I think a lot bigger than I was. And he's like, Billy, you need to develop this and take this national. And DFW door repair isn't very portable. We need to rebrand you to a something that's a little bit more portable and looks, like it belongs on a bigger stage. So that's how we came up with yournewdoor.com, and we've been mashing on the gas ever since.
Yeah. And it was really amazing when I got there, because what Billy does in this business is they build a lot of custom front doors, custom. And I saw some really quality stuff there. He's got some equipment. In fact, they were carving a logo into two doors there. I believe it was going on a church, but it was the logo for the church that they were doing. He's developed some really great marketing. He just said a while ago, he has had some significant mentors in his life that have helped him. And actually, as we got to talk to each other, we knew a lot of the same people. And one of his mentors there in Dallas is a gentleman by the name of Billy Cox, who Cheryl knows. So it was amazing the synergy as I got to know Billy going through this. So Billy, let's start out. What was the big, what I call the magic moment? This mentor came along, told you could go national, envisioned what you could do. Was that the magic moment that you decided to take off with this business to the degree that you did?
I've had, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs probably experience several magic moments along the way, right? Like just in the last 8 months, I felt like I was struggling to see through where I was at, right? Of course, we all have big visions and big things, but I'm like, things just don't seem to be growing or getting any better, just linearly, And I finally I read a book and I had a breakthrough, and the what I learned about myself was I was listening to too much noise, too many people, and I already knew what to do. I was just looking for someone else's external validation to help me have the confidence to do it. And when I learned how to let go of that and focus on the signal instead of the noise, it really was a big breakthrough. And since then, I mean, it's just been, we're really focusing on the things that matter the most instead of worrying about the noise, which sometimes the noise things are important, right? They're the details and the attention and things. But a lot of times we get caught up in worrying about those things when we don't even have the wheels on the car. We're worried about the radio and we don't even have tires on it, you know?
Yep, got you covered. And I noticed one of the things is you've got some very good people on your leadership team there that you're letting them take the operation and do the things that need to be done while you're dealing as the visionary of what's got to be done to take it to the next level. But you've also learned very much how to delegate this to people. Was that difficult for you? That's so difficult for so many people to just back off and let their people take it and run with it.
It was really hard early on, you know, because when I'm the typical E-Myth, poster boy, right? Like the entrepreneurial seizure. I was good at selling. I was good at doing, but I had no idea how to run a business. I had no idea how to be a boss or a leader or how to do taxes or payroll or any of that. I just started doing it. And it was really crippling for a long time because, there's a lot of bad things that come out of not knowing how to do the important things and just winging it. So I think a lot of us have that tattoo, from that experience, but learning how to turn loose of things that was scary for me was really a big lesson for me, because now my philosophy, my leadership style is to hire people that can be leaders, but are also professionals in their expertise, right? In their discipline, sales, marketing, whatever it is. Give them the resources, give them the vision, and get out of the way, and then they can report back with where they're at, where they're going. I can help them steer just a little bit, but I have zero interest in being in the weeds of finding out where the commas go in the ads or even the creative. I just want to look at it and say, yeah, that looks good, or try again, right? But I don't want to get into the weeds of it. I just want to stay framework level, high level direction.
Got you covered. So Cheryl, what would be the first question you would ask Billy today?
Well, it's in the beginning. I know it's hard to give up. It's your baby. So, what steps did you kind of take? I mean, I'm sure we have more people out there that are exactly where you were, wanting to be where you're at. Give us some idea of what you would tell a person if they were sitting in front of you.
I've got some great advice here. It's kind of the way it went for me, right? And early on, right, like, when you're a 3, 4, 5, 6 person company, there's a lot of things you have to do just out of necessity, right? You don't have the margin, you don't have the leadership style to attract, or the leadership ability to attract the right type of people. So what I did was I hired someone to come into my business and be like the business manager, right? So I delegated everything that did not generate revenue, right? Taxes, insurance, leases, water bills, car payments, payroll, hiring, right? HR, things like that. And then I focused on things that generated revenue, like sales, marketing, fulfillment, making sure that the guys that were making the things had everything they needed, whatever needed to get done that day to either sell something or make sure that something that was getting sold got collected. And it really freed up a lot of my time. I think that's the first hire that, maybe not the first hire, but the first bigger picture hire that anyone should make, is to take the things off your plate that don't generate revenue. Because like I said, the typical E-Myth entrepreneur is someone that already knows how to generate a dollar, already knows how to do the thing. They just don't know how to, all the business stuff bogs them down and really dilutes their real value in the business.
Yeah. Well, as Wickman says in the book Traction, a visionary, which I consider you to be a visionary, okay? From being around you definitely have a vision. And visionaries many times are very poor implementers. They just can't implement and put it together. So let me ask you this. you've traveled in some pretty high circles when I got to know you. A lot of people. Who's been some of the mentors that have really given you inspiration and the strength to move to where you're wanting to go?
I've been really fortunate early on. I mean, I did this for 10, 12, 13 years before I even realized there was a world bigger than mine out there, and there was something that I could tap into or plug into. We've heard it for decades, guys like Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn. I probably listened to Jim Rohn for 2 hours this morning while I was walking and working out. Just all things I already know and hear, but just to continue to have that positive mental frame. But they all say, I'll get to it here. Basically your net worth is the sum of the 5 people you hang around, right? For the most, right? Like your network is your net worth. And it's absolutely true. So I started to seek out people, one, that were already doing bigger things than me and that I wanted to do, right? And 2, that already had shown some modicum of success. And what happens is you start to assimilate to those people and their ways of thinking and their patterns, right? Like life is just a series of patterns, and the ones you plug into are really become your habits, right? And your habits determine your outcome, right? Not your ambition. And that was a big lesson for me. So getting around those guys like Tommy Mello, right? Tommy has personally poured time and attention into my success. Roy Williams, the Wizard of Ads, very, very instrumental in steering me in a lot of ways, and just pouring time and attention. Guys, people like Catherine Howard, right? Catherine has been a very big influence. I've got the list. I can go on and on. Tom Howard, her brother, has helped me a lot. Just all these people that are already doing these big things. And the interesting thing is I've never met anyone that in their position or even that were doing bigger things than them that I went to and asked for some guidance or tips or a little bit of whatever that said no. Right? That's the cool thing. Everybody really wants to help the people that they see hustling and trying. If, even today, I still try and pay it forward and pay it back to the people that are looking behind me, looking up. But no one wants to help anybody that if you tell them something or tell them, hey, try this book, read this book, and then you see them again in 2 months. Oh, I haven't read it yet. But everybody loves to help the people who they see helping themselves and are already doing the things.
So you feel like part of your success is meeting these right people and then doing what they're telling you to do. Am I getting that correctly?
Not even necessarily doing what they're telling me to do, but there's nothing new under the sun, right? And guys like Tommy Mello, right? I'll use him as an example. He's changed the way the game is played, right? Like the legacy people have played by these rules forever, and Tommy comes in and looks at the game from a different direction and finds a different way to win at their game that's way more efficient, right? So I'm getting to see that in real time, and it's helping me to shape what I'm doing because other than that, we've got that or the legacy model. The legacy model is proven to work, right? But guys like Tommy are disrupting everything with efficiency and technology and just scaling with young people, right? I'll be 50 soon, and I have a philosophy that I believe, right? I need people that are my age for their maturity and wisdom, but you're not going to scale a 500 people company on people over 50. You gotta learn how to work with young people, and they work for different reasons, and they have different motivations and different skill sets and all the things. And people will run around saying nobody wants to work these days. Well, everybody, there's companies that have these people, right? So they don't want to say they don't want to work. No, they just don't want to work for you, right? So you have to become someone that they really are attracted to and want to work for.
That takes me back. One of the seminars I went to was in 1987, Billy, and there was a gentleman speaking there. His name was Paul Radilla, and Paul was brought up in the construction business, okay? And this was the thing. Why would you work for you? Why would you? And I'll be honest with you, I took a pretty good look at myself sitting in there and say, hey, I would not work for that guy. I really wouldn't. It's got to be opened up more. Now, one of the things that I noticed about you, Billy, was you're wanting to build leadership amongst your people. You see this as one of the keys to building the culture is to build leadership skills within your people. Tell me your feeling on that. Why do you think leadership is so important amongst your leadership team?
Leadership at scale, right? If you want to scale a company, leadership becomes a bottleneck, right? Because and there's a couple layers to that. I'm just going to stay on the surface level. And there's two ways to get leadership. You can grow it or you can buy it, right? So, but the problem is if you buy it or import leadership into your team, which you often will have to do, especially as you hire people that are coming from out in front of you, right? But they have to come in and gain the respect of the people you already have. Now, if you can train your people to be leaders and give them the tools and resources to know what it means to be a leader, and you'll start to see them bloom and grow inside your organization, and it becomes a lot easier to pinpoint who those are, right? And we just talked about it this morning in our breakfast meeting. I told them, I continue to reiterate how many people this is going to take us to grow, and there's so much opportunity here for leaders. And I would love for the people already on my team to start to stand up and be recognized. And I said, I can't give you the title of a leader. You have to, the people that you work with have to give you that title. And when that starts to happen, I'll see it. I won't have to say anything. I won't have to ask, because they start to respect you. They start to come to you for help. They start to come to you for advice. And guys like me can see it from a mile away when the people respect who they're working with.
So, Cheryl, what will be your next question? I don't want to occupy all this. I know you got some questions there. This is your first time meeting Billy is on this broadcast, where I've had a couple of days in the truck with him, in his office, dinner, lunch, that kind of stuff. So what would you ask Billy? What's interesting you right now about this young man?
Well, I'm going to take it out of business for a second. If I'm correct, your wife works within the business, or either at least not, she stands behind you quite well.
She's a consultant to me, right?
Okay.
So she's definitely part of it, right? And she's my secret weapon, right? Like without her, I'd be living in a van down by the river, So I'm very risk tolerant, right? Like I have no problems taking risks. I would bet my last dollar on all this, right? And she's very risk averse. So there's a happy medium in there, right? Where we can take a risk that won't lose the farm. And, and then if it doesn't work, then, so she's right just about as much as I am. And she's my secret weapon. She doesn't work in the business or in the day to day, but she has a lot of input. I share everything with her. She, every single day, and it's interesting. I was just having a conversation the other day about, our spouses, our family, entrepreneur spouses and families, brothers, sisters, they don't understand what you're going through a lot of times, right? But my wife loves to know. She wants to know, and it helps me to have someone to share things with who understands. She goes to conferences with me. She goes to these shop tours and visit these other bigger businesses. So it's someone that I can talk to that understands the scale of what we're trying to do, the amount of time and risk and all the things that go into doing something like this. And if you don't have that kind of support, it's really hard to do big things, especially when you're trying to grow a business. Because if I wanted to, I had a guy in my office a couple of days ago, for example. He wanted to grow his business. He needed to go buy trucks, and his wife didn't want to buy the trucks, right? And she wasn't even working the business. So you have to have that support and understanding, of what it takes to do these things, or you're not only fighting against the world, you're fighting against the forces inside your own house.
I think I see that quite a bit when a man's got a second backbone in the business, even though it's not directly connected. And I admire you for that, because a lot of people don't have that ability to let go as much and discuss things with other people.
Yeah. Well, one thing I noticed in my discussions with Billy was how she was such an asset to balance him off. Like I said, he just said it. He would gamble the family farm. She's more of the level-headed person that would ask the question, can we really do this? How are we going to do this? How are we going to succeed? Billy, you got ready to say something and I interrupt you. I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah, I think I explained to you when you were here the other day, if I don't say it when it comes by, it leaves, and I got to wait till it comes back. But yeah, I'll think of it in a second. but Jennifer is my wife's name. Jennifer really is my secret weapon. Without her, like I said, I wouldn't have any of this. But vision. Vision is important, right? You can't really be a good leader in business without sharing your vision with your people, right? There's an old saying that I just love. I'm going to put it on my wall someday that says, if you want the men to build a boat, don't tell them to gather wood, but make them yearn for the vast sea, right? So I get goosebumps when I say that. If you want to go out on the sea, you make them fall in love with the stories in the sea, and they'll go find the wood and build a boat because everybody wants to go then. But if you stand over them, tell them to gather the wood, and don't tell them why, and then you just start telling them, I mean, they're just selling you their time. And it's the same thing at home, right? So I share my vision with my wife. She's bought into the vision, so she's fighting just as hard behind the scenes to make this happen as I am in the day-to-day, because she sees the vision, and I've got her excited about where we're going. I've introduced her to the same people that I know that have already done what I want to do, business-wise, and she sees it. We go to these nice places with these people, and she wants, she's tasted it and she wants a piece of that. So she's my biggest cheerleader.
So what you're saying, you have to have the dream to produce the mission.
Yeah, we have a framework here that I share with my people. I have a lot of frameworks. If you get to know me, I talk about frameworks all the time. Vision, strategy, plan, right? So you have to have a vision first. And when business owners or entrepreneurs come to me for advice or guidance, sometimes they'll ask me a business specific question, or how to achieve this, or what should they do with this. And my first question is always, what is your vision, right? Because if they're doing 2 million and their vision is to get to 10 and coast, then the advice I give them that may take them to 30 or 40 or do 100 isn't going to really be relevant. But if they just want to, have a nice lifestyle business, then my advice to them may be different than it would be if they were wanting to scale really fast, So, but regardless, you have to have a vision, or really, I spent too many years just marking along in the woods without a vision, just going in circles just to get money, because I thought eventually I would make enough money to get rich. And there was never, ever, ever, ever any money left over, right? It was always just enough to live another day. And so I realized it took way longer than it should have to realize that was not a good way to run a railroad.
Got you. Cheryl, anything else?
No, you're an amazing man. I enjoyed looking through your Facebook and other things. And I think if more people would grasp the ideas you're saying, they could excel a whole lot faster.
Yeah. It's experience is the one of the best teachers, right? But the cool thing is it doesn't have to be my own experience. It can be someone else's experience that I learned from, and it cuts that whole timeline out. Alex Hormozy said that the difference between what you want to make, or what you make, and what you want to make is what you don't know, right? So you can learn that from other people, right? Like I learned some stuff from Jerry the other day that may save me 2 or 3 years. How valuable is that? How much, whatever Jerry charges for his services to save 2 years of doing something the wrong way, how much is that worth, right? So now I have zero problems paying the people their money, the professionals that are going to buy me time, because as I get older, I realize that the more you have to pay for it, the more it's worth, because I'm buying the future back, right? Time that I don't have to spend figuring this out. And, at some point I'm going to want to retire, and the better I can do now, the more I'll have when I get there.
Yeah. So Billy, there was a time that it was Billy. Then it was like 1 or 2 people, and you were there and the world was existing. You had your own little world, but there was a day came along that you decided it was time to go to some type of an event. You wanted to go somewhere that people were doing great things. Where was that event, and how hard was it for you to make the decision to go to that first type event like that?
It was really hard because I didn't have any money and it was expensive. The first event I went to was in February of 2022, and it happened to be in Dallas. And a friend of mine named Chris Yano, he owns a company called Rhino Strategic Solutions. They're a digital marketing firm. They've gotten really big, but he was a sponsor at this event. It was a roofing event, and I'm no roofer, but It was in Dallas, and he said, "Hey, I've got some extra tickets if anybody's in Dallas and wants to go." So I hit him up. He gave me a ticket. I went to the thing, and it really wasn't what I saw, heard, or learned at that event, but it was making a connection with someone in that world, right? And that was in February. We got on Service Titan a few months before then, and Service Titan Pantheon was in April. I didn't know what it was, but my CSM emailed me and said, "Hey, I've got 2 free tickets if you want to go." She's like, "The tickets are like 12 or 1,500 bucks. I can't remember." And I'm like, "Okay, let me see if I can figure this out." I had $0, right? And I just hired Dan, my operations manager, like 2 weeks before. So found the money for the planes and the hotel, and I took Dan and we went. And my attitude going was, I'm going to hear all the things that I've been listening to on all these podcasts all along, which was kind of true. I did hear those things, but the interesting thing that I didn't bet on was the people I was going to meet, right? I met so many people that were happy to meet me, happy to hear about me. They've already gone through a lot of the struggles that I was going through and shared with me, some ideas to help me get through them faster, and it worked. And many of those people I met at that first trip to Pantheon have become lifelong friends. I think that was the first time I'd met Tommy Mello, Ellen Rohr, a lot of these people, and they're all friends now, So, but getting inside in that tent, right, with these people that are already doing the things has really become a lifestyle. Just it's now I'm a voracious reader. I'm a learner. You can tell I haven't shut up the whole time I've been on here. I just love to help, and I want to help people not make all these same mistakes that I made. There's wisdom and experience, and there's 2 ways to get it. You can learn it from someone that's already touched the hot stove, or you can touch the hot stove yourself and do it the hard way, right?
And
My daddy
Billy,
always said, dumb, you got to be tough.
Yeah. And Billy, I could see that in you because of following you on Facebook. It's amazing the number of motivational posts and things that you post online. And it's not driving business to your new door. It's where you have a spirit that you want to help others, not just see your own business succeed. Does that make sense, Billy?
Helping others is a byproduct. I post that stuff honestly when I'm at the gym or when I'm walking or whatever. I'm listening to that stuff, and it's just little pieces that I hear that touch me at that moment, right? And I want to share it with everyone else. But also when I look back, a year and back, or 2 years or whatever, it's also for myself, right? It just reminds me of where I was in my spirit that day, and I'm talking more to myself than anyone else. But if it helps someone else, it's a byproduct. And I get messages almost daily now from people say, "Thank you," or "That really hit me hard today. Thanks for sharing." And I really love that. You never know who's looking, watching.
That's it. Well, one of my things is always pushing clients to speak to their community. And that's what you're doing. Cheryl, when I came back from Dallas, I told you that I had been with one heck of a phenomenal guy for the last couple of days. Was I correct in what I said?
You were, and I've enjoyed this immensely.
Yeah, it really is. Because like I said, what you see here is a guy that got inspired, decided to seek out mentors, listens to them, takes their ideas. I remember I was sitting there. I told Billy something. I was sitting across his desk, and he said, "What you just told me paid for this trip for you." Just what you just said in that one sentence right there. So he's an expert at taking things and then inspiring them. And earlier this week, like I said, I'm writing a summary of a visit. All of a sudden, he's already doing stuff, moving his plan around, hiring new people. He just acquired another company there through a very unique funding arrangement that's going to really work out for him phenomenal. And he onboarded 8 people on Monday in his company, if I remember correctly. Yep. He's just a phenomenal guy. So if you're on Facebook, look him up. Billy Door Cline, Billy Door Guy Cline. And you're going to have some heck of things that you're going to see every single day because he loves to speak and help motivate others. So, Cheryl, before we end this, anything else you would add to this?
I like I say, I enjoyed his page. You know, coming down from Ziegler, just things like that touch my heart. And if it touches my heart, then it'll touch my mind.
I got you covered. Bill, anything you would want to add to this that you want to get the word out on before we go away?
Well, I like what Cheryl just said. My mentor, Roy, right? He helps with ad writing and things like that. And one of his sayings is, what the heart wants, the mind will follow, right? So if you touch someone's spirit and their emotion, then their mind will logically, explain away why they shouldn't, right? So I really like that. And I also the Ziegler thing. I didn't mention Billy Cox. You did earlier. Billy is become a very good friend of mine and a mentor. And Billy's just like everybody else. Jerry came in and when they see what we're doing and I share my vision, they all get excited. And Billy is very excitable, So he had open heart surgery this week and he's doing really good. So keep praying for him.
Yeah, and he's got a heck of a drive because I see he was out of the hospital in just a couple of days, from being on the walker one day to out of there. And that's fantastic from open heart surgery.
I stopped by his house on Wednesday to see him, and he's already up and around and asking me work stuff. And I'm like, pump the brakes, bro. Rest.
Yeah, that's it. Well, folks, I hope this has been a time of value for you. I know the vast majority of people listen to us on the replay. We're well aware of that. And we're getting between 20 and 30,000 views every week on our replay on our various channels we're posting it out to. But again, look up Billy Door Guy Cline on Facebook. Add him as a friend. Look at the stuff that he's putting out every single day. One of the things I told him when I was there, Billy, I said, you need to write a book. I think you've got a book in you. And we even talked about that some while I was there. But young man, you're on a path to greatness. I can tell that. You are very impressive. And I am very, very happy to have gotten to know you and spend some time with you, sir.
I really appreciate the compliment, and I'll do my best not to let everybody down.
You got it, brother. So we appreciate you joining us this week. Tune us in next week, every Friday, 12 noon Eastern time, or catch us on the replay. And I want you to know it's an honor, it's a privilege, and it's a pleasure to speak to you every single week like this. And again, I hope this is a time of value for you. That's our whole plan here. So have a great week and a great weekend ahead.